Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Bibles and notebooks out. Today we are moving into 2 Kings, or the second half of the Book of Kings. And like I said last week and this week are kind of a two-part lesson on these two prophets, Elijah and Elisha. So we're kind of wrapping up Elijah today as he transitions his authority to his main disciple, Elisha. All right, can I get a volunteer to open us in prayer?
Dear Lord, thank you for this time that we can learn more about you and talk about what we read about over the week. I pray that the VBS that we're going to have this week will go well, that no one will throw up all the floor or anything bad happens. I hope it's not too smoky outside and the fires will get under control. I pray for the firefighters that are helping with that. I pray for a good worship service and a good day. Please pray, amen.
Amen. All right, so like I said, we are in 2 Kings for the next 3 weeks. So 1 Kings started with Solomon, and everything was great, and then everything wasn't great, and the kingdom was divided. We saw several kings come and go on both sides, Israel in the north and Judah through the line of David in the south. And then we kind of camped out at one of the northern kings, Ahab, for a while with the prophet Elijah. And last week we saw that Ahab was killed, kind of miraculously killed in battle. And then power shifts to Ahab's son, Ahaziah. And now Ahaziah is the king. Okay? So today we are kind of continuing that story, and we'll see the transition in power from Elijah to Elisha. Then next week we'll kind of get back into the roster of kings for a little bit longer, seeing some that do right and some that do evil in the sight of the Lord. And ultimately, it leads to the fall of Israel and Judah. Those two kingdoms both fall separately for different reasons. All right. So today we are in 2 Kings 1 through 8. How did the reading go for everybody?
I did.
Everything is great.
Okay. Cool.
Sound like you need thumbs?
Yeah. I don't think I saw any down thumbs. We were all, at least we did some of the reading, or it was a little tricky and we did it, or it was good.
I did not.
Yeah, cool. Alrighty, I expect amazing participation today from everybody. So let's dive in. I kind of like how we were doing the last few weeks, where we summarize the whole thing and then hit some discussion points. So we're just going to do that again. So I would like somebody to summarize the first chapter or two. That couch.
Okay, so there's this king dude,
Little louder.
Ahaziah. There's this king dude, Ahaziah or whatever, and then he gets sick, and then he's like, oh, go find someone who can tell me if I'm gonna live or not. And then, so his messengers were going to the priest dudes of Baal or whatever, and then Elijah stopped him on the way and was like, you should tell him that he's gonna die because he didn't believe in the one true God. And so then they're like, hey, you're not gonna live. And so then the king died. And then the king died.
Something happened first before he died.
Oh.
he was upset at the message from Elijah. And what did he do? Either of you on that couch. You can take turns.
So he sent like armies up to the mount, and then like Elijah or God like rained fire on them, and it's like no. But then the third one, they came up, and the guy was like, "Please don't kill us." And then an angel of the Lord told him to go down and basically say his message again. And then that king died, and then he was going from like town to town and telling his like disciple Elisha to stay behind, but his disciple was always like, "No, I want to come with you." And then when he like parted the Jordan, and when they went across, then like chariots came and parted Elisha and Elijah, and then Elijah got up the whirlwind and was taken to heaven.
Mm-hmm. There was something that Elijah offered and Elisha requested. What was that?
Elisha requested double Elijah's spirit to be open or something like that.
Yeah. Elijah says, this is chapter 2, verse 9, "Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you." So he's basically saying, I'm about to leave, now's your chance to get one last little bit of information or a last favor or whatever. And Elisha says, "Please let there be a double portion of your spirit on me." And then Elijah says, "If you see me taken up, you'll get that double portion. If you blink and you miss it, you're not going to get that double portion." Lucy's over there holding her eye.
I'm gonna see it.
Yep. And then, this angelic chariot comes in, and whirlwind and fire, and
Wait,
Elijah's not there anymore.
Is that the second guy in the Bible who didn't die?
Mm-hmm. Who was the first one?
Enoch.
Yeah. He walked with the Lord and was no more. And then here, Elijah was taken in a whirlwind and a chariot of fire.
Yippee.
Yep. All right. And what happens immediately after Elijah is taken up?
Oh.
Still at this couch for right now. Then we can.
So then Elisha was like, he was, wait. Oh yeah. So Elisha was going like into this town, and then like, I don't know what town it was. Bethel? He was going somewhere, and then these dudes came out and were like blocking him and stuff, and then like he cursed them, and then like a bunch of bears came out and like mauled him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So immediately after Elijah is taken, and Elisha requests that double portion and sees Elijah go, and so therefore he's going to get this double portion of Elijah's spirit. Immediately he does like 3 or 4 pretty miraculous things, just quick succession. First, he, just like Elijah parted the Jordan on his way over, Elisha takes the same robe that Elijah had rolled up and smacked the water with, and he did the same thing and reparted the Jordan and went back through it. And then there's like 3 other things that he does right then, or at least 2 other things right there. Some of the other like disciples and prophets send out a search party for Elijah because he's just missing. Elisha came back without him, and Elisha's like, you're not gonna find him. Like, that's maybe not miraculous because he saw him leave. They're like, you're not gonna find him, and they don't find him. And then there's bad water in this well, and Elisha heals the well. And then as he's going from there, a group of small boys came out of the city and mocked him, calling him Baldy, saying, "Go up, you bald head," possibly kind of making fun of the way that Elijah was taken up. And they're like, you should go up too, you baldy. And Elisha was just not having it and summoned a couple of she-bears that mauled 42? 42 of the boys.
So not all.
Don't make fun of the man of God.
And then we can say both people.
Or both. Especially both. Alright? And that leads us into chapter 3. What couch wants to summarize chapter 3 and 4? Who's going to volunteer their couch or their table? Alright, this couch. Both of you.
So, 3, well, extremely short summary. But, pretty much, Israel and Judah and Edom unite against Moab, facing droughts. They seek Elisha, who prophesies victory. God miraculously provides water, and the Moabs are defeated through divine intervention.
Yeah, there's a rebellion. So Israel has kind of a territory or province of Moab, and the king of Moab rebels against Israel, and the king of Israel kind of makes temporary peace with Judah, and Judah brings along their territory of Edom, and so you have 3 kings against 1 king, and they go to Elisha to kind of get a good word from the Lord, and Elisha basically says, I'm not going to bless you guys because of you, king of Israel, but because of you, king of Judah. You're a good king. This is the only reason I'm talking to you, is because you respect God, and I respect that. And so then he kind of sort of blesses them, and then God provides a confusion for the enemy, where they think they see pools of blood, and they're like, oh, those 3 kings must have fought amongst themselves and had a great battle here. We're fine, we can just go about our business. And what do you know? That triple army kind of kicks their butt. Okay, so that's chapter 3. Chapter 4.
Elisha multiplies oil for a widow, raises a Shunammite woman's son from the dead, purifies poison stew, and feeds 100 men with a small amount of bread.
Amazing. Yeah, so Elisha does more miraculous things, right? There's a widow that is very poor and only has a small amount of oil, and like that's the only valuable thing. And Elisha says, go gather some empty jars from your neighbors. And she pours out the oil into 1 jar, into 2 jars, into 3, into 4, into however many she has, and then is able to sell that and pay off her debts and still have money left over. That's amazing. Then there's a woman who wants to support Elisha's ministry and has her husband build like a guest room on their house so that Elisha can stay, because he's traveling around and every time he passes through he can stay there. And Elisha wants to kind of repay that, and finds out that they don't have any children, and they're kind of sort of past the age of having kids, and he predicts this time next year you'll have a son. And then it kind of skips to, sure enough, they have a son, and now he's grown up, or at least old enough to talk, and like goes out into the field to his father and says, oh, my head hurts, and then dies. Dramatic. And they put him in the guest room, and his mom goes out and finds Elisha, and Elisha's like, God hasn't told me what your problem is. Like, I see that something's wrong. Is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, everything's fine. Can you come back? My kid died. And Elisha comes back and gives the kid like miraculous mouth to mouth. Because it does say like his mouth was against the kid's mouth and his eyes were on his eyes, his hands were on his hands. He laid on this kid very awkwardly, like I think 3 times. Right? Multiple times. Anyway. And then the kid like sneezed a bunch and then was alive.
7 times?
7 times. 7 sneezes in a row. And then was alive. Yeah. And then Elisha does a couple other things regarding food and like miraculously providing where in one case there was basically a poison stew because someone was just ignorant in what they were gathering from the forest. And then in another case there wasn't enough food and he stretched that and provided for a larger number of people.
Foresight to Jesus.
What?
Foresight to Jesus.
Yeah,
That's
boy.
what I thought.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
It's a much smaller version of the feeding of the 5,000. There's a feeding of the 100. But still,
Like,
there wasn't enough food.
times 12? Like,
A bunch of times.
still.
But wait,
Alright? Cool. What couch wants to summarize chapters 5 and 6?
I think it's chapter 5. I listened to the rest.
Okay. Can this couch cover 5 and 6?
I don't know. I only got to listen to all of the chapters once in
Okay.
the audiobook, and I don't remember much.
You can try it.
Chapter 5.
Yeah. Noel, you had chapter 5?
Okay. Balaam was a commander in the army. He was a leper, and his wife had a girl who was like a servant for her from Israel. They had taken her captive, and she's like, I know a guy who can heal you. And so the king went to him, Elisha, and Elisha said, bathe in the Jordan 7 times. And he was upset. He's like, how come are the rules in Israel not good enough? And he was angry and he left, and then he came back and he bathed in the Jordan 7 times and he was healed.
So, a leprous commander of Syria. So, these are kind of the enemies of Israel. And he has leprosy and hears about this man of God who's kind of doing miracles and goes and seeks him out and he's like, I will pay you to heal me. And Elisha's like, how about you just go dunk yourself in the Jordan River 7 times and you'll be fine and I don't need your money. Right?
Right.
And then this guy's like, bro, we've got like the Tigris and the Euphrates back in Syria. What's so special about the water here in Israel? And he's getting ready to leave, but then his servants are like, wait, no, really, you should do it. What's the worst that can happen? You get a little wet. And he does exactly what Elisha told him to and is healed miraculously. Okay, what about the second half of chapter 5? Yeah, that? Because Elisha has a servant who's been with him for a little while. Okay, you didn't write that one down. Do you have the second half of chapter 5?
I had to all the way up to here.
Okay. Lydia, do you remember?
I think this was the chapter that people were bugging me when I was trying to listen to.
Okay, we can move to somebody else. Does anybody else have the second half of chapter 5? Lucy, did I see your hand?
Yeah, you did. But
Can that couch take the rest of 5 and 6?
sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so second half of chapter 5, after Naaman is healed, he had like a whole bunch of gold and silver and clothes and fancy stuff like that. And he tried to pay Elisha, but Elisha's like, no, I'm not going to take this. I didn't do it, God did it. But then, so Naaman, he leaves, and then Elisha's servant, what's his name?
Gehazi.
Gehazi, yeah. He gets the gimmies and
Hold on, say that again.
he gets the gimmies and he runs after Naaman and is like, wait, he like tricks him somehow.
Yeah.
Says,
There were some people who came and they need help.
yeah. My master sent me to say, there have just now came to me from the hill country of Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of clothes. So he sort of like
Straight up
tricks-
lies.
Yeah, tricks him. And then I'm pretty sure Naaman gives him double that. No. Yeah, because he gives him 1 for each. Yeah. So then. Yeah, and then he comes back, and Elisha's like, "Where'd you go?" And Gehazi says, "Your servant went nowhere."
I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
You just couldn't see me.
Hiding.
And what was the result of that?
And then, as a punishment, Gehazi and all his descendants and stuff were cursed to have Naaman's leprosy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like snow.
Yep. So he straight up lied, basically stole, acquired things that weren't his, and when Elisha found out, he was like, "Oh, cool. You're cursed with the leprosy that Naaman had. And not just you, but all of your descendants after you." Yay! Cool. Alright, that couch. Chapter 6.
Okay, I only have like the first part of 6.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, the axe head and
Mhm.
everything. So, the son of the prophets. Who is that?
The Sons of the Prophets is like a school of disciples. It's
Oh.
not literally the male offspring of like Elijah and Elisha.
So they're just
It's-
like students.
Yeah,
Of
it's
his.
like a prophet guild, if that helps.
Yeah.
It's like a school of prophets, disciples.
Prophet school. But they wanted to go to the Jordan River. Yeah. And they're like, hey, let's get some logs and stuff and let's just make a little house there. You know?
Their home wasn't big enough. There's
Yeah, that it wasn't big
probably
enough for them.
just too many of them for the living space.
So then they went and they were like getting wood and stuff, and then one of the boys, the axe head fell off into the river, and he was like, no! He's like, it was borrowed. I don't know where it went. And then Elisha was like, oh, show me where it fell. And so he did. He's like, okay, stick your hand and pull it out. And he did. And they got it back.
He made this metal axe head float to the top of the water. That's a miracle. Metal doesn't tend to float. Okay. Next section, chapter 6. Do you have that, Benjamin?
Sorry, I was reading this. Did you
Yeah.
do the chariots and the fire and everything?
No,
No,
that's
I only did
that's where
the
we're at.
axe head.
I can do the Ben Hadad siege or whatever.
Okay.
Like, I can't remember the.
Lucy, can you do the chariots of fire?
Yeah, I was really confused by this chapter.
Okay.
I don't know.
Give us what you got and we can unconfuse it for you.
Okay, so the Syrians, they were at war with Israel. Again, are in the same war? I don't really know. And so the Syrians, they're like, we're gonna make our camp here, but somehow the Israelites knew. And so the king of Syria, he's like, this is not good. So he like asks all his soldiers, like, is one of you a spy, or who is tipping them off? And they're like, something about. Oh yeah. So yeah, the king asks, "Will you not show me who of us is for the king of Israel?" It's like, who's the traitor? And one of his servants said, "None, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bed." So like, God lets Elisha know so that the Israelites can like have victory over the Syrians. And then
Is the king happy about that?
no, he. What does he say? Say go to. Oh yeah. So then he like decides to try and capture Elisha. And so they gather a great army and they go by night and surround the city.
So now Elisha is surrounded by the enemy. Right? And what happens next? He has a servant, probably a different servant other than Gehazi, but we don't know that. Different unnamed servant. And is that servant like cool with being surrounded? No.
He's panicking.
Yeah, he's panicking. He's looking around. It's like there's a lot of them, and not very many. Like 2 of us. And how are we gonna get out?
I like those odds.
What?
I like those odds.
Yeah. So what does Elisha do?
He prayed to the Lord and said, "Please strike these people with blindness."
Before that, verse 16
Oh, yeah.
and 17.
So then Elisha says, "Do not be afraid for those who are with us, or more than those who are with him." Then Elisha prayed and said, "O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see." So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw it. Behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha.
So, just like you said, the servant was, panicking. There's so many of them, and only 2 of us. And Elisha's like, "I like these odds," and prays that that the young man can see what Elisha sees. And sure enough, the enemy that surrounds them is surrounded by an even greater number of angelic forces, and Elisha and his servant are very much not outnumbered. They have
God of angel armies.
the God of angel armies. They have the angel armies of God on their side. And then Elisha, there's not even really a battle. He's just like, all these enemies be blind now, and the whole army is just blind. And he leads them into the capital of Israel and right up into the palace before the king, and says, "Here's prisoners for you, king." And then he's unblind, and they're like, "Oh no, we're in enemy territory, we're surrounded now, we're prisoners." And the king is like, "Oh, we should probably just execute them now, right?" And Elisha's like, "Treat them like prisoners of war. You don't need to execute them. Feed them, and then return them to their king." And he feeds them and returns them to the king. And it says there's no more raids on Israel. But then the very next verse after that, so fast forwarding sometime later, and then I think Benjamin said he could summarize this part.
This is a little confusing for me, but basically the start is simple. So Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, decides to go besiege Samaria, but there's a big famine, and they're selling donkeys' heads and poop for a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then
It's not great time. That is literally what it says. A donkey's head was sold for 80 shekels of silver. That's a lot. And 1/4 of a part of a cab. And a cab is about 1 quart or 1 liter. So like a quarter of a quart. How many cups is that? I'm not good at math and
It's not
baking
one
and
cup,
stuff.
right?
What's 16
It's
divided
like-
by 4?
Not very much of dove's dung, bird poop. Not very much. A handful of bird poop is sold for 5 shekels of silver. Why would you pay any amount of any precious metal for any amount of bird poop? Because you're starving and there's some sort of nutrients in it, I
Desperate
guess.
times call for desperate measures.
Very desperate because of this siege on the city. And then we see that they're even more desperate than
Yeah,
than
because
that.
then this woman's like, "Hey, king. So like yesterday, me and this other woman agreed that we would boil and eat my son, and then today we'll eat her son. But she's hidden her son, so we can't eat now."
Yeah.
And the king's like,
You already ate my kid,
Yeah,
and now she's hid hers.
yeah. And then this is where it gets
Cannibalism, dude.
Let's just have more children so we can eat.
They are so desperate, they're eating their own children. That's how bad it is.
Like fishes.
What?
Sounds like a fish.
Sounds like a fish?
Like the fish are desperate.
Oh, okay.
Eat the babies.
Yeah.
That's
Except
true.
this is people.
That's true.
So like, it's not great times.
yeah.
Really not.
And then this whole next part with the king and Elisha, I'm like I read this like 5 times and I still can't get what exactly happens. Cause it's like
Yeah.
he like tears his clothes apart, and then he had like a sackcloth beneath his body or something, and then he said, "May God do so to me and more also if the head of Elijah, the son of Fat, remains on the shoulders today."
He's very mad at Elisha, at the man of God, for this. He's blaming. It's not my fault. It's got to be Elisha.
Because he's like God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically blaming God and the man of God for this.
And then Elijah's like in his house with some elders, and the king had sent a man, but before the dude arrives, Elijah's like, "Do you see how this guy was set to take off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold the door fast against him. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him." While he was still speaking with them, the messenger came to him and said, "This trouble is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?"
Basically, Elisha is sitting there minding his own business, and he's like, someone's about to knock on the door and come to like arrest me and kill me, and then that happens. And the guy's like, this trouble is from the Lord. The king wants us to kill you. And then that bleeds right into chapter 7. Who wants to take chapter 7? Lucy? Can you summarize it quickly?
Yeah, okay. So Elisha, he promises that the same time the next day that there will be plentiful food, like this much flour will sell for this much, like a cheap amount.
Yeah.
Then, and so
The opposite problem of what they
yeah,
have.
he promises that, and captain on whose hand the king leaned, is that like?
His right hand man.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's like doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And Elisha says, "You should see with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it."
Yeah.
So
He doubts, and Elijah's like, you'll see it,
yeah,
but you won't actually get to enjoy it.
like Moses.
Mm-hmm. It's very much.
So then there are 4 lepers who were like just camping out in the outside of the city because they're lepers and not allowed in. And they're like, "Why are we sitting here so that we'll die? If we go in, we'll die. Because they'll kill us." if we go to the Syrians, maybe they'll feed us, but also we might die. So
What's
we're
the
gonna-
worst that can happen? We die either way.
Yeah, we're gonna die anyway.
We either
so.
die of hunger right here, they kill us because we're lepers if we go into the city, or they kill us because we're lepers if we go into the camp, or they might feed us because they have food in the camp.
Yeah.
Dead, or maybe fed.
So then they went to the camp of the Syrians, but there was no one there. Because God had made them hear the sound of chariots and horses, the sound of a great army. So that they said to one another, behold, the king of Israel has hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Egypt to come against us. So they thought that a huge triple army was coming at them. So they just dropped everything and left.
Yeah. They did not pack up.
They did not pack up at all. They just ran.
Hmm. A little bit later, it says that they're even finding like
True.
clothes on the road. They were just like taking off everything that they don't need so they can run faster to get away.
Yeah, they left everything. So then the lepers, they eat and drink. They're having a great time, and they're like, wait, maybe we should go tell the king. So then they go tell the king, and then the city is able to have the food again, and there's no more famine. And and what God promised comes true.
Mhm.
But the right-hand man does not. He didn't have faith, and so it happened to him. For the people troubled him in the gate every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people were so excited to get food that they trampled over this right-hand man. And he was able to see that there was food, but he wasn't able to enjoy it, just as Elisha had predicted. There would be plenty of food, but he wouldn't live to enjoy it. Yikes.
I love getting trampled.
All right, I will summarize chapter 8. So the first part is this Shunammite woman from before who had the son, and the son died and got revived. Elisha kind of warned her about this famine, or maybe a different famine, and she left and went to a more prosperous place for 7 years, and then came back after that famine, and happened to come in to the king at just the right time. And she went to the king to appeal to try and get her property back. She left, it would have been taken by someone else. She came back and tried to get that property back. And under normal circumstances, probably wouldn't have worked. But it happened to be at the exact time that Gehazi, the servant or maybe former servant of Elisha, is telling this story to the king about all these great things that Elisha has been doing. And he was right at the part of the story where God provided a son, and then the son died, and then Elisha raised the son to life again. Right at that part of the story, talking about this woman and her son, and then she comes in with her son and requests her land back. And like, that was just miraculous timing, and the king was like, absolutely, take back your land and everything that it produced over the last 7 years. Probably not much because of the famine, but still, that land is yours again. Here's a little bit extra as well. So she reclaimed what was hers originally. And then we kind of jump over to a different, completely unrelated part of the story where the king of Syria is sick and inquires of Elisha whether or not he will die. This is kind of a common theme. A king gets sick, inquires of the man of God whether or not he'll live or die because of it. And he sends his servant or right-hand man, Hazael. And if you remember from 1 Kings 19, Elijah was sent to anoint, I think it was like 3 different people. It was a new king of Syria, a new king of Israel, and his disciple Elisha. And the guy that he anointed as the new king, or the next king of Syria, is Hazael. So it's a callback from like one sentence previously. And so this, future king of Syria goes to inquire about the current king of Syria, and Elisha says, the sickness is not going to kill him. He'll get better. And then kind of has this, like, he checks out for a moment and just stares at him for a little bit until it's awkward. And then Elisha's like, oh, I just saw really bad things in your future. Specifically the things that you're going to do to the people of Israel. And Hazael's like, I'm just a dog. What position do I have to mistreat anybody? And he's like, you, sir, are going to be the next king of Syria, and you're going to use that power against Israel. And he sends him back to deliver the good news to the king of Syria that this sickness isn't going to kill him. And then Hazael waterboards the king to death, puts a cloth over his face, pours water on it until he dies. The sickness didn't kill him, because Hazael did. Yep. And then Hazael becomes the king in his place. Great. Love that.
Lovely.
Then it gives us a couple of the kings of Judah. So we're kind of getting back into that here's the kings part that we'll pick up on again next week. And it's a little confusing here, and then again in a little bit. You have two kings of the different kingdoms that have the same name, and also their name can be spelled a different way.
The same different way.
The same different way. You have, you have Joram, also spelled Jehoram, the son of Ahab, as king in Israel. And then you have Joram, also spelled Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat in Judah. That's not confusing at all.
That's great.
Two different guys,
History.
Same name, kings, same time.
double name. Two different guys. Proof that this is actually something that happened and not fiction that was edited and written by man, because that's bad writing. To have the same name of two different kings and they each have a difference, that's bad writing, and your editor would catch that if it was fiction. If it's history and inspired by God, that's just how it happened. You're not going to change that. It's just a little confusing because the alternate spelling bounces back and forth. And you're like, what guy are we talking about? Joram or Jehoram? Man. Context.
We should.
Yep.
The
And
first
then
one should be
I think in chapter 10 or somewhere, chapter 11, there's a Joash and Jehoash, and those are the same name, but also there's two of them. So it happens again in this week's reading. Just be aware of that. Pay attention to the names and the alternate spellings of the names.
What country?
Yeah, pay attention to who the father of that person is and what kingdom they're the king of. Pay attention.
Great.
It can be tricky. Alright. So we get two bad kings in Judah. They're both described as having done what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Great. Alright. So let's talk about asking boldly of God. Okay, so we're going to go back to Elisha asking for this double portion. And we saw a lot of powerful things that Elisha did in today's reading. We always think of Elijah as being the more powerful of those two prophets because he came first, and then also he's the one that called down fire from heaven and destroyed the prophets of Baal. But going based on the number of miraculous things done, Elisha was literally double what Elijah did, because he boldly asked for a double portion of what Elijah was able to do. So I want to talk about that for a little bit and how that kind of applies to us. Okay, so before I move on to anything else, what do you think this means, asking boldly of God? Do you have any thoughts of that?
Not being afraid to ask him for stuff.
Yeah, not being afraid to ask for things. Okay. Anybody else?
Asking, like, knowing that he can do it.
Yeah, asking, knowing that he can do it. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to put up some verses, and I would like people to turn and read. So we have 5 verses.
Take Matthew.
Matthew, Mark,
James.
James,
John.
Hebrews, and 1 John. Okay. For everybody else, if you want to try and turn to that and keep up, you can do that. But otherwise, just listen to whoever's reading. Okay? All right. Benjamin, you had Matthew?
Yeah, it's the asking you it will be given.
Yep. Okay. So Matthew 7 through 11.
Asking it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds. For the one who knocks it will be opened. Or which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him?
So that is saying, ask, and it'll be given to you. Right? And then it compares, we, sinful, nasty people, know if someone asks for bread, you give them bread. You don't give them a rock. If someone asks for fish, something good to eat, you don't give them a snake. Like, we understand that. How much more does God understand? If you ask him for something, he's not going to give you something bad in its place. Okay. Go ahead and read Mark. Who had that? Shannon? Okay. Go ahead.
As they passed by in the morning, they saw the fig tree withered away to its roots. And Peter remembered and said to him, Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you cursed has withered. And Jesus answered them, have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also, who is in heaven, may forgive you for trespasses.
All right. So that is saying, have faith, have confidence that if you talk to a mountain and say, throw yourself into the sea, that mountain will do that. If you have confidence in God. Okay, and we'll kind of circle back to this one at the end, because I think it's the 1 John passage has kind of a conditional statement to that. All right, so who had Hebrews?
Me.
Okay, go for it.
Since then we have a great high priest who's passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast to our confession. For we do not have a high priest who's unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then confidently draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need.
So confidently going before God, because the high priest who intercedes, who speaks on our behalf to the Father, is Jesus Christ. We don't have to go through another human and play telephone and then our message gets lost on the way. We talk directly to God. Right? Confidently going before the throne. Alright, go ahead and read James.
Okay. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, for who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven by and tossed by the wind.
So again, asking in faith without a doubt, being confident in God's power. And then 1 John 5. Who had that? Okay, go ahead.
I write these things to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life. And this is the confidence that we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, and whatever we ask, we know that we have the request that we have asked of him.
So especially verse 14. And this is the confidence that we have towards him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. So like I said, we were circling back to that, I think it was either Matthew or Mark, if you say to this mountain, throw yourself into the sea, if that is part of God's will, and you fully believe that God has the power to do that, then it will happen. Now, is it always God's will for the mountain to be thrown into the sea?
No, not.
We can be fully confident that he can do that.
But it doesn't mean he will.
Doesn't mean that he will. Doesn't mean that he wants to.
He's like, do you have a good reason? Or do
Exactly.
you just want to what's your point here?
Yeah, and that kind of applies to anything that we ask of him. Like,
Yeah.
what was the reason that Elisha requested a double portion? Was it so that people would be like, ooh, Elisha, he's such a powerful dude. Look at all the amazing things he does. Was that his reason?
No.
Was it so that, ooh, Elisha, heal me and I'll pay you a ton of gold?
No.
No, it wasn't for himself. What was Elisha's reasoning for asking for a double portion?
What does it say?
It doesn't specifically tell us. I can't give you a verse. But just based on all of the actions and the context and everything, what was his reason?
For God's glory.
For God's glory. Yeah. He saw how God was glorified through Elijah, and he said, I want my life to double glorify you. I want people to double see how amazing God is. And if I'm the vessel for that, sure, if that's what it takes. But he wanted double glory to go to God. That should be our reason for asking for things. And if that is our reason, and if it is in the will of God to do that, we should ask boldly and confidently and without a doubt that God can do the thing that we are asking. There you have it.
So I encourage you this week during Vacation Bible School, how can you pray confidently and boldly as you actively, very obviously, serve the Lord and share the gospel this week? That's what I want you to think about and talk to God about.
And then live that. Live a life that would doubly glorify God and not yourself. Like Elisha. And double the amount of amazing things being done through God, but not for yourself. For the glory of God and to further his kingdom. Right? Dear Lord, thank you so much for today. Thank you that we can come before you boldly and without a doubt that you can do amazing things, that you can do whatever it is that you want to happen. I just pray that we would align ourselves with your desires, with your will, and that we would come before you boldly with those requests that line up with your will, so that we can see amazing things happen, and so that we can see you be glorified and your kingdom be furthered in everything that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.